Have you ever seen a man suddenly go quiet, sitting alone, staring into the distance as if searching for something he lost? Some things have to disappear before people realize just how valuable they were. And sometimes it takes silence and emptiness for a man to finally understand who his true peace was. There comes a moment in a man's life when he must sit with the quiet hum of his own thoughts, reflecting deeply on what he once had and what he let slip away. You see, people don't always recognize value, even when it's standing right in front of them. Comfort, that dangerous kind of comfort, can blind a man to the very thing he should have been holding onto the tightest. And then, when that presence is gone, absence walks in like a quiet teacher. It doesn't speak, but it teaches the kind of lessons that presence never could. Suddenly, he starts to miss your warmth, the way you poured into him, showed up for him, the way you offered grace when he didn't quite measure up. He had grown used to your voice cheering him on, your steady support, your softness. But here's the danger of familiarity. It breeds complacency. When something is always there, always giving, always available, he begins to believe it always will be, until one day, it isn't. Absence doesn't just show up. It shakes him. It makes him pause and ask himself, where did that peace go? Why does everything feel off now? Suddenly, those little moments he once saw as ordinary, replay in his mind with a weight he never noticed before. The way you smiled at him, the way you listened when he didn't even know how to speak. In the stillness of your absence, that's when it finally hits him, just how much you truly meant. Sometimes, a man has to live without you to fully understand what life with you really was. He needs to feel that contrast. He needs to sit at a table where no one asks how his day went. He needs to scroll through his phone and see no good morning texts, no midday check-ins, no sweet reminders that someone, somewhere, was thinking of him. That silence, it screams louder than any argument ever could. But listen closely. Absence doesn't just reveal emotions, it reveals priorities. Because when a man truly values you, when he genuinely sees your worth, he won't just sit in regret. He will move. He will reach out. He will shift something deep within himself to make sure he never has to feel that kind of void again. And yes, I know. Someone out there is probably thinking, if he really cared, why did it take losing me for him to see it? Oh, I hear you. And the answer is simple. Some men don't recognize peace until they've lived in chaos. Some don't feel warmth until they're standing out in the cold. And some never knew they were being watered every day until they began to wither. But let me be clear, absence is not a game. It's not a tactic. It's not about manipulation or testing someone's love. No, this is about self-respect, about knowing your worth enough to walk away when you're no longer being valued. Sometimes, it's only in your absence that a man truly begins to feel your presence. In the stillness you leave behind, reality starts to echo. This isn't about revenge. This is about recognition. It's saying, if you couldn't see my worth while I was here, then you'll have to recognize it once I'm gone. Because a high-value woman doesn't beg to be seen. She doesn't plead to be acknowledged. She doesn't overstay in a place where she's being overlooked. She doesn't repeat her worth. She lets her absence say everything she no longer needs to. And when she walks away, she doesn't storm out in anger. She doesn't slam the door. No, she simply leaves it unlocked. Why? Because if that man ever wakes up, truly wakes up, and realizes what he had, the path back will be open. But only if he returns different. Only if he comes back better, more intentional, more aware. But hear me, if he comes back, it can't just be with sweet words and easy apologies. It has to come with action, with evidence, with change that reflects the deep lesson absence has taught him. And if he doesn't come back, if your silence is met only with more silence, then that too is your answer. Because absence doesn't just reveal how much you meant to someone, it reveals what you never did. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to reclaim your space, your peace, your energy. Because the man who truly sees your value won't let your absence be the final chapter. He'll do what it takes to write another one. One with purpose, clarity, and intention. See, something shifts the moment a woman pulls back. It's subtle at first. She stops calling, stops checking in, stops pouring endlessly. And the man, he may not even notice. He might even enjoy the space, misreading it as freedom, a relief from pressure. But time has a way of bringing the truth to the surface. Eventually, he finds himself facing a hard question. Was I really ready to lose her? When things are good, when the love is consistent, the support unwavering, he may not stop to ask himself how deeply he actually needs it. He's just moving through life, assuming what's there today will be there tomorrow, taking her presence as a given. But then, her voice no longer fills his days. Her kindness isn't part of his rhythm anymore. Her love, once quiet but constant, is simply gone. And something begins to stir in him, that feeling he can't quite name, that unrest in his spirit. That's the beginning of realization. Distance forces a man to face emotions he didn't even know existed. He begins to wonder, why do I feel unsettled? Why is there this void? He thought life would go on as usual, but something inside him doesn't sit right. Because it wasn't just her presence that mattered. It was what her presence did to him. It grounded him. It brought him peace. It gave him a rare comfort he never thought to cherish until it was gone. And let me tell you something real. A man can carry emotions for a long time, deeply, silently, and never speak them. He can feel, but never process. Because when a woman is always there, always available, always giving, he never has to face what she truly means to him. But when she steps away, when she finally removes that presence he took for granted, he has no choice but to feel. And in that feeling, in the quiet, in the long stretching silence, a man starts to grasp the depth of what he had. But then what? What happens after that realization? Let's move forward, because what comes next may just change everything. In the silence, a man begins to feel, but now comes the real test. Will he act on those feelings? Because absence doesn't just awaken emotion, it demands a decision, and that's where everything shifts. See, feeling something is one thing, but doing something about it, that's a whole different story. There are men who will feel the loss. They'll miss the warmth. They'll notice the energy shift. They'll sense the void, so sharp it echoes in their daily routine. But even then, they won't move. Not because they don't care. Not because they don't feel it, but because they're not ready. Not ready to rise to the level it takes to keep something valuable. And that, right there, is where clarity reveals itself. Because a man who is truly invested, a man who sees you as irreplaceable, he won't just sit in his sorrow. He'll act. He'll pick up that phone. He'll show up. He'll shift something deep within himself. Not because he's pressured, but because he knows what he lost is worth the fight. But let me give it to you straight. Some men will only miss you. They won't pursue you. They'll feel the ache, yes, but they won't do the work. And when that happens, don't let your emotions deceive you. Don't let longing or old memories trick you into thinking that simply being missed is enough. It isn't. Missing you is not a plan. Missing you is not proof. Missing you is not a foundation to build a future. If a man has truly understood what he had, if your absence genuinely revealed your value, then he won't stay stuck in regret. He'll take intentional steps. He'll move. So hear me when I say this. You don't have to remind a man of your worth. You don't have to beg him to feel. You don't need to explain what your presence once brought. If he truly values you, if he genuinely wants to keep you in his life, Your absence will do the talking. And if it doesn't, well then, you've got your answer, haven't you? Because a man will always respect what he's afraid to lose. It's not the comfort of your presence that teaches him your value. It's the possibility that you can leave. It's the realization that your love is not a given, not unlimited, not unconditional in access. You see, some men never learned how to cherish consistency. They've never had to live without it. They take kindness for granted because it's always been offered without question. They treat love like it's infinite, something that will remain no matter how poorly it's handled. But life has a way of delivering lessons no words ever could. And one of the hardest lessons a man can learn is this. A woman who knows her worth will not stay where she is not appreciated. When something is always within reach, it's easy to stop noticing it. When love is always given, it's easy to assume it always will be. He wakes up every day expecting that she'll text first, that she'll check in, that she'll care, even when he doesn't. But he never pauses to ask, what if one day she doesn't? When a woman gives endlessly, when she pours without holding back, she can create a dangerous illusion that her love comes without limits. But here's the truth. While love might be unconditional, access is not. Respect is born out of boundaries, and a man respects what he knows he can lose. He respects what requires effort, what demands presence, what asks him to show up, not just once, but consistently, and prove he's worthy of receiving it. Because when a man starts to believe, last time we uncovered a hard truth, that a man often doesn't realize the value of love until he's forced to face life without it. Now we take that truth a step further. What happens when he's finally left to confront the consequences of his own choices? Because here's the reality. When a man believes he can disappear and still be chosen, when he believes he can neglect you and still be loved, he doesn't change, he doesn't grow. Why would he? There's no urgency, no pressure, no reason to reflect. If there are no consequences, there's no accountability. And if there's no accountability, he'll never fully realize that what he had was fragile, rare, and precious. That's exactly why absence holds such powerful weight. When a woman steps back, when she removes herself from the equation, when she stops making herself so easily available, a man is left alone with a mirror, and he has to face it. That's when the questions start to surface in his mind. Did I show up the way I should have? Did I nurture what I had? Or did I just assume it would always be there waiting? That moment of reckoning, that pause where he's forced to examine his role, is where true respect begins. Because now he has to decide, am I willing to do the work to regain what I once took for granted? But listen closely. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about withdrawing just to see if he'll chase you. It's not manipulation. It's not a tactic. This is about self-respect. It's about understanding that your presence isn't a given. Your love is not a default setting. Your time, your energy, your care, they are not infinite resources for someone who hasn't shown they're capable of handling them with care. Because when a man truly values you, when he genuinely understands what it means to have you in his life, he won't need to lose you to finally show up for you. He won't need your silence to finally hear your worth. But if he does, if it takes your absence for him to see clearly, then make sure, when and if he comes back, that he returns with more than regret. Let him come back with changed behavior, because missing you is not enough. Wanting you is not enough. Saying he cares is not enough. If he truly respects you, if he truly understands what he nearly lost, he won't just say the right things. He'll show you in how he moves, in how he chooses, in how he treats you moving forward. So don't be afraid to walk away when your presence is no longer being valued. Don't hesitate to raise the standard, because the man who truly sees your worth, he won't wait until you're gone to cherish you. He'll recognize your value while you're still there. A man can only begin to grasp the true weight of something when he's forced to carry its absence. And when a woman is always present, always showing up, always filling in the blanks he didn't even know were empty, it's easy for him to believe that's just the way things are. But the moment she steps back, the moment she stops checking in, the moment she stops filling the spaces he never realized she was holding together, that's when reality hits. Not as a whisper, but like a crashing wave. You see, men and women process emotions differently. While a woman often senses the shift immediately, the second she's giving more than she's receiving. Last time, we uncovered the moment a woman steps back, when her presence is no longer constant and her energy is no longer given by default. Now, we step into what happens after that, when silence starts speaking louder than words ever could, because there's something unspoken that stirs in a woman's spirit. She knows. She knows when she's being taken for granted. She feels it, deeply, quietly, and long before she says a single word. But a man doesn't always see it happening in real time. He moves through life on autopilot, thinking she'll always be there. He assumes she'll always check in, that she'll always care, that she'll always reach out first, until one day, she doesn't. And that's when the shift begins, because silence, real, intentional silence, has a power that words simply don't. A woman's silence will make a man reflect in ways her voice never could. He might have ignored her concerns before. He might have brushed off her emotions, dismissed her needs, mistaken her patience for weakness. But when that patience runs out, when the grace stops flowing, when she no longer argues, no longer explains, no longer fights for what they had, her silence starts saying everything she no longer needs to. And now, in the quiet she leaves behind, a man begins to notice things he never saw before. He notices the missing check-ins, the empty space where her encouragement used to be, the small ways she made his life lighter, easier, fuller. He'll wake up and glance at his phone, expecting a message that isn't there. He'll go about his day and feel her absence pressing in on him, not loudly, but in 1,000 subtle ways. The way she used to remind him of things, the way she remembered the little details, the way her energy filled up a room, even when she said nothing at all. And suddenly, what once felt guaranteed doesn't feel so certain anymore. But here's the hardest truth of all. Some men will only understand your absence. They'll never truly understand your presence. They'll miss you, yes. They'll feel the void deeply, but they won't fight for you. They won't change. They'll mourn the loss, but not rise to the lesson it brought. And that's why a woman must pay close attention, not just to a man's regret, but to his response. Because missing you is not the same as valuing you. Feeling your absence is not the same as stepping up to honor your presence. Absence is the test. It's the moment of truth. It's where a man must choose. Does he let the silence remain? Or does he break it? Does he sit in the loss? Or does he do the work to heal what was broken? A man who truly values you, a man who understands what he had, won't just miss you. He'll move. He'll show up differently. He'll communicate with intention. He'll make the effort, not just to win you back, but to build something stronger, something lasting. But let me give you a warning. If a man can sit comfortably in your absence, if he can go days, weeks, even months without reaching out, without acknowledging the shift, without making any real effort to reconnect, then that is your answer. Because a man who truly values you will never allow silence to be the last word. He won't risk losing something he knows is rare. He won't wait until it's too late to try and make things right. So if you ever find yourself in a space where your absence is met with indifference, where your silence is echoed with more silence. Previously, we talked about how a man's silence, his inaction, can speak volumes. But now comes the moment of reckoning, when your silence stretches and the space you left behind stays empty. If your absence is met with more absence, if your silence is met with stillness, let that be the answer. Don't go back trying to remind him of what he lost. Because the hard truth is this: if he needed a reminder, he never truly saw you in the first place. And a woman who knows her worth, she doesn't beg to be seen. She doesn't plead to be understood. She does not chase after a man to recognize her value. Because a man will never fully understand the weight of peace until the woman who brought that peace is no longer in his life. You see, some men are so used to chaos, so conditioned to inconsistency, that when they finally meet a woman who brings stability, they don't recognize it as something rare. They confuse her patience for passivity. They mistake her understanding for obligation. They assume that the way she loves, the way she gives, the way she nurtures, is just who she is. Not a choice she makes every single day, but the moment she steps back, the moment she stops filling in the emotional gaps, stops softening the sharp edges of his world, everything changes. Because peace doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. Peace is subtle. It moves through your life like a quiet wind, steady, calming, gentle. It's what makes the hard days manageable, what makes the ordinary feel a little more whole. And when it's gone, you feel it in the weight of everything she once lightened. When a man has never experienced true peace before, he doesn't always know it's there. He might take it for granted. He might assume her calmness, her consistency, her quiet love will always be within reach. But the moment she walks away, the moment her peace is no longer present, his world starts to wobble. Things feel heavier, more chaotic. The comfort of her presence, the steadiness, the softness, the unspoken reassurance is gone. And now he has to sit in the void of something he never even realized he needed. Because that's the truth about peace. You don't always realize how vital it is until it's missing. A woman's peace is a sanctuary. It's a place where a man can rest, where he can exhale, where he can feel safe without performing or pretending. But when he fails to protect that peace, when he treats it like it's guaranteed, he risks losing the very thing that made his life feel whole. And when it's gone, he'll feel it in ways he never expected. Because absence doesn't just create longing, it creates clarity. When a woman stops giving, stops pouring, stops showing up like she used to, a man is forced to ask himself, why does everything feel heavier now? Why does life feel different without her presence? As days pass, as the silence stretches, as the emptiness settles in, he begins to understand. It wasn't just her he lost. It was the peace she brought with her. But here's the reality. Not every man will know how to honor that peace. Some will miss it, but won't change. Some will miss feeling cared for, but won't care in return. Some will crave the calm she brought, but won't do the work to rebuild it. And that is where a woman must be discerning. Because a man who truly understands what he lost won't just want it back. He'll take action to protect it moving forward. He'll show up differently, not just for a moment, but with consistency and care. A woman's peace is a gift. It is not to be toyed with, not to be assumed, not to be treated like it's endless. And the moment she realizes that a man cannot protect that peace, she must protect it for herself. Because the man who truly values her will never put her in a position where she has to choose between loving him and keeping her own peace. So if your absence doesn't wake him up, if your silence doesn't, make him reflect. If your decision to step back doesn't inspire him to step forward, then that is your answer. Because a man who is truly ready for love won't just recognize your worth when you walk away. He will cherish it while you're still there. He won't take that risk. He won't wait until you're gone. But some men don't learn until they're forced to. Some men don't realize what they had until they reach out and find there's nothing left to hold on to. Previously, we explored what happens when a woman walks away, when her peace, her presence, her love is no longer freely given. But now, let's talk about what he does in the silence she leaves behind. At first, he may not notice the difference. He may brush it off. But over time, the calls stop. The messages go unanswered, and the space he once filled with indifference becomes filled with silence. And then, suddenly, reality hits. Suddenly, he feels the weight of everything he ignored, everything he dismissed, everything he thought would always be there. Because that's the thing about a woman's presence. It's like oxygen. You don't see it. You don't notice it. You take it for granted until you can't breathe without it. He inhaled her love every day, assuming it needed nothing from him, assuming it would always be there. But when she stops pouring, when she stops giving, when she quietly removes herself, he begins to struggle. And it's in that struggle that the truth rises to the surface. Because some men, when they feel the absence, will do whatever it takes to repair what they damaged. They'll face their flaws. They'll change their patterns. They'll fight to rebuild trust. They'll move, not just because they miss her, but because they now understand her value. But others will only sit in the sorrow. They'll mourn the loss. They'll ache for her presence, but they will never take a hard look at what they could have done differently. That's why, and this is important, a woman must never measure a man's love by his regret. Regret is not love. Regret is reflection, but not transformation. Man can miss you and still not be ready for you. He can long for what you gave him, the softness, the support, the stability, and still not be willing to give you what you deserve in return, because missing you is passive. It's an emotion. But fighting for you, that's action. That's a choice. That's the difference between a man who realizes your worth only after you've left and a man who values you enough to never make you feel like walking away was your only option. A man who is truly ready for love, ready for you, won't wait until your absence teaches him what your presence already showed. He won't make you prove your worth by withdrawing. He won't play emotional games. He won't let silence stretch just to see what happens. No, a man who understands what he has will protect it. He'll nurture it. He'll show up before he loses you. He won't risk a love that rare, slipping through his fingers. But a man who only learns through loss, that's a man who is not ready. That's a man who still thinks love is about ownership, not partnership. A man who thinks that if something is good, it will always be available. And a woman who knows her worth. She cannot, must not, waste her time proving it to someone who refuses to see it. That's why she must pay close attention, not just to his emotions, but to his response. Because if his response to her walking away is more silence, if his only action is regret without change, if he lets the distance linger without growth, without effort, without reflection, then she has all the answers she needs. Because a man who truly values her, who truly wants to build something with her, won't let regret be his last word. He'll let his actions speak. He'll let his growth do the talking. He won't just miss her. He'll rise for her. And that, right there, is the line between a man who was meant for you and a man who was only ever meant to teach you a lesson. Because the one who's meant for you, he won't wait until you're gone to appreciate you. He'll make sure that staying never feels like a mistake. And yet, what if he does come back? What if he returns with apologies, with promises, with emotion in his eyes? In the next and final part, we'll talk about what to look for and how to know if his return is real or just another cycle waiting to repeat.